Balance it out between like being a good sport and at the same time not getting yourself in a position where it's like, boy, I really don't want to be in this conversation.
Yeah, because you don't want to come off like, oh, she's an ice queen.
Yes.
But then you don't want to come off like, oh, she's, oh boy, hey, maybe.
Right, and and that is where you'll be tested, and you'll be tested that way in your workplace. You'll be tested that way around schoolmates. I choose to simply excuse myself, or let's say the jokes are very risque, or the jokes are even racist at times. I definitely do not laugh at those, and they see very quickly that, okay, she's not that type of girl.
Right, and that it's inappropriate behavior.
Now, it doesn't mean that you snub your workmates. Obviously I'm very polite, I'm very businesslike. I have a huge sense of humor and even a bit sarcastic. So there are times, obviously, I'm kind of one of the guys. But when it crosses that line, and here's the thing I've noticed is, especially with females, they really feel that they have to laugh at those jokes or get involved.
Well, it is part.
They want to be liked.
Well, and it's also part of the female culture, which is inclusiveness. And let's be positive, and it's a thing what Candace and I have talked about on the show before, where sometimes you have to realize it's okay not to be nice.
That's what we talk about.
It's okay to...
It's okay at times when somebody's behaving inappropriately to you.
To be a biatch.
Yes, and to not be going along with everybody. There's a point where you can stand up.
A people pleaser. Because
courtesy bias.
Be courtesy. Yeah,
it's courtesy bias. When it's not right and it makes you feel uncomfortable, then it's better for you to stand up or to excuse yourself, like you said, rather than to engage in it. And
it's tough because we're taught. Yeah, we're taught to go with the group. We're taught to go with our peers.
And we're taught to be polite and nice and acquiesce sometimes. But there are times when somebody's making you uncomfortable or even pressure. What is the book that we were talking about the other day that I thought was just terrific?
Right. And I just want to touch on one thing. This is what I've learned. Don't put so much importance on being liked. Put the importance on being respected. Because
that's
you can
wonderful.
have a guy out there in your workplace, or a woman, whatever the case.
But what if you're like me and you'll never be respected? So really all you have is like. All I have is like, really. That's all I have.
I have worked with some guys that, I'll just say it, they are the biggest pigs. However, I'll tell you what, after a day of working with me, they treat me so different than they will treat another female on our location.
Because they know.
You teach people how to treat you.
Kind of
and
train
you do that through your conduct, your speech, and your demeanor.
And your attitude.
Well, thank you. I look forward to hearing the rest of this
Thank you.
afternoon.
Oh, thank you so much for calling in.
And caller, work on your demeanor, okay?
Now, Candace, you mentioned the book. There's a book, and it's by Elizabeth Powell. Her last name's Powell. It's called Talking Back to Sexual Pressure. And I love what she says. This is one thing she says in her book. She urges workers to learn a precise line between a pleasant attitude, which is appropriate to their role, and the kind of friendliness that could imply sexual openness.
Right.
And that's what we're talking about. Where is that fine line?
As a guy, I can say that, we're trained to constantly be looking. And the conversation you have with most guys is, you missed an opportunity. So
Isn't
for guys,
that interesting?
Yeah, so for guys, we're always like, hey, was that a door? Did a door just open? And then if you don't open that door, then you're like, oh, I blew it, man. I had a chance.
Doug and I talk about this all the time because he said men will think this, that if you smile at them, or just be like, oh, hi, how are you? And then you say, oh, fine, or whatever. Then the guy automatically thinks, what does he think? He always says, she's interested in me. She likes me. She's interested in me.
Because if you walk away and you go, you know what, she did kind of smile at me, and your other friends will always go, dude, man, you blew it.
And all it is literally a pretty
smile.
Girl smiling, saying hello, being friendly. How are you? How's the weather?
But girls, you want to know the truth? When a pretty girl smiles, you feel it in your toes. You're
really?
wired. You are wired like that. And when they do that, it's like, it's so primal. It's so primal.
But it's almost like sometimes.
So quit smiling at me, guys.
Well, it's like you and I, Genvieve and I, are very friendly people. We've always been friendly people. And sometimes we think it works to our detriment because if you just walk by somebody and they say, how are you? And I'm like, fine, how are you? It can cause a problem. So it's like, when do you be yourself and be friendly, or when do you have to, unfortunately, pull back? just because of situations that may arise.
How about wearing a mask?
We should pull our hair back.
It's easier said than done, but I think that's why she said that it's something you have to learn. You have to learn where that line is. So you have to put some extra thought into it. You have to use discernment. And if you haven't been doing that, it's something like anything else you have to learn. You're going to have to get those feelers.
Right.
You know, and the other thing is, you know, it's okay to go, you know what, I don't feel comfortable with that person, and don't be friendly. Don't worry about hurting somebody's feelings.
That's what we talk about.
Turn the ignore button on.
Right, and that's what we always talk about with courtesy bias. So many times we are trained as young girls and young women to be polite, to be kind, to be nice, and there are times when it's okay not to, when it's okay to stop talking to somebody, to ignore that person, to get them to go away because they are making you, for whatever reason,
well, you know,
they are making you uncomfortable.
Not only trained, sometimes I think it's hardwired DNA stuff. I think, you know, in the female culture, it's cooperation. And then in the male culture, it's negotiation.
Very good point.
Interesting.
Yeah,
Good point.
I didn't come up with that.
Great point.
My friend Rob Becker had a successful show called Defending the Caveman that ran for 1 trillion years, still runs. So he's that's his thing, but it's a great thing, and you will see it in situations where the men will respond with a negotiation and the women's will respond with cooperation.
Well, women, I think we communicate, and men, it's like you said, they're bartering. It's
Right.
like, oh, well, okay, if no is the answer, well, then what about this? Well, no if the answer, if no is the answer, what about this? And you and I talk about no means no.
Right, right.
And I think that, unfortunately, people, I guess because even our culture, we're taught to just keep trying.
But also, I think there are girls, you know, mixed message girls out there who do kind of ruin it for you guys, who will do the, you know, no means yes, and they'll waffle, and then guys will go, well, you know, with her, she said no, but next thing I know, you know, we were macking.
Right.
So,
and aggressors know that, that it's a half, you know, if it's a half-hearted no, maybe it really means yes.
Yeah.
So again, now your body language, your conduct. When you're saying no, you know, sound like you're convincing them. You have to convince them, or they'll keep trying.
Put something behind it.
Yeah. Don't giggle. Don't act coy. Don't allow your body language or your voice or your facial expressions,
your demeanor,
to contradict what you're saying.
Exactly.
If you mean, and again, don't worry about hurting their feelings. What about your feelings?
Exactly.
What about the feelings of your mate? Or if you're young, how about the feelings of your parents? You know, don't worry about their feelings because they don't care about yours.
Exactly. They're exactly not worrying about yours.
They're not worrying about yours.
Are you kidding? Predators never worry.
No.
They're only concerned about
They're
what they want.
What they can get.
Want, what they can get.
It has nothing to do with whether or not you're interested in them.
Well, we